Yeah, because I think for our first business, that's how we started. We started growing, we started scaling through loans.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, we went through those micro loan business places where we would get like loans for $2,000, $3,000 to get pallets. And I know the inventory started selling, and then we were getting profitable. We saw that it was working good. That's when we decided to get the bigger loan and get more inventory. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Driven. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing how we use loans in business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for those that don't know us, my name is Juan, and this is my brother Alexis. And we currently started our business in 2019, and currently for this year, we're at a run rate of $3 million a year. So I feel like up to that point, up to that $3 million a year, we have a very good idea as to what we're talking about. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Going back to the topic, I know that I mentioned that the topic is going to be using loans for business. I know this is our second official business. Mm-hmm. We did a bunch of other stuff, but in our first business, we got loans. In our current business, we got loans. In the future, we probably might get loans. And loans,
possibility. No, there's a possibility.
Yeah, there's a possibility. Loans could be anything. For car loans.
Cars, yep.
For machinery, for just personal loans. It could be for loans for the business, lines of credit cards. Technically, that's a loan.
Yeah.
So we're just going to share how we used loans, how they benefited us, how they went against us, and maybe just anything that could help someone. Mm-hmm. So pretty much our first business, we started with loans. Mm-hmm. How did we start using it, or when did we start using loans in our first business, which was Forma?
Yeah. So with that one, because we had no business experience or business credit at all, I know that in order to purchase or to scale our business from like the couple $100 we were spending on inventory to like several thousand, I know we both got personal loans. Yeah. I know you got we both got, I think they were the same amounts, and they were a month apart. I think they were $15,000,
like around
$15,000 and personal loan. And so I know, which the crazy thing is that we're both DACA. We technically are full residents.
Yeah.
And it was so easy to get that amount of in personal loans. Yep. I'm like, I think that was too easy.
But that was back in the day. That was in 2015, where
that is very true.
It wasn't like everything, the economy, everything was just, it was stable.
Yeah. So we got what? We got $30,000, and I know we rented a warehouse. We got a lot of inventory, and that's how we were introduced to our first loans. But I think even before that, we also were getting loans, or we to get more inventory.
Yeah.
From places like Opportune, which is those micro loans, I guess is what they call them, like $2,000 to $3,000.
Yep.
And then they every 2 weeks or every month they charge you.
Yeah, because I think for our first business, that's how we started. We started growing, we started scaling through loans. Yeah. Like you mentioned, we went through those micro loan business places where we would get like loans for $2,000, $3,000 to get pallets. And I know the inventory started selling, and then we were getting profitable. We saw that it was working good. That's when we decided to get the bigger loan and get more inventory.
Yeah.
And so I think our first business, we scaled to where we scaled because of 100% loans, huh?
Yes.
For the most part, like funding wise, not like business or anything, but funding.
Yeah, because otherwise it would have taken us a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Because and that's, I think, the issue you run into when you go into a business that is very high capital intensive, where you need a lot of money to make a lot of money. And that's when you have inventory that you sell it for only like 2 to 3 times as much.
Yep.
You need a lot of money to start with that inventory. And so, yeah.
Yeah. So that was our problem, because if we would have started a service business, we wouldn't need those loans. But because we were selling physical items, we needed physical inventory to make money.
Yeah, and in order to get that inventory, we needed money, which we didn't have. So we went through loans.
Yeah.
That's how we started.
Yeah. So, I think loans, at least for when we started, it was good for us to scale. Mm-hmm. Fast forward to later on in the, I think next year or the year after that, I know we were buying the wrong inventory. Mm-hmm. So because we were buying the wrong inventory, it wasn't selling as often, or we would have a bunch of inventory that was just there that we couldn't get rid of, that we still paid for. It was money sitting there that we couldn't just exchange for, a sale for money. And so the loans eventually worked against our favor.
Yeah, because, we had, not only did we had the loan payments, but we also had, because we scaled to that point, and then, the business didn't start doing as good, that we also had like the rent, we had utilities, we had other stuff that we needed to pay. And so imagine, let's say our business did start going down. Okay, at least, we have we need to pay the rent and all that. But with loans, now we needed to pay the loans back. And so money was going out from our bank account to the rent, the utilities, an employee that we had. And then at the same time, money is going to the loans.
Yep.
So as that's happening, the bank account dwindles. It starts getting smaller. And now there's less money to buy good inventory.
Yeah.
So it was a cycle for us.
Yeah.
It became a cycle.
And how do we pay back those loans?
Through another loan.
Yeah.
So and I think it's a little bit funny because there's this one guy on TikTok that I see that I think he was 3 months late on his scat pack.
Oh, I saw it.
and then so he got an $8,000 loan to try to keep up with his payments. But instead of doing that, he traded in that scat pack. And he also used that $8,000 for a down payment for a Tacoma, which was higher.
Yep.
Monthly payments.
Yep.
And so it's kind of funny because in a way it's similar
to what we did.
We got a loan to get to make payments to a loan. So it could have become a cycle. Granted, back then, the loans weren't too crazy high that we were able to get jobs and pay the loans. I know a month we were paying a little bit over $3,000 a month in loan payments.
In just loans.
And so we learned a lot.
Yep.
Through loans in the first business. And I think from that experience, I think I would only recommend you get a loan is if you know what you're doing, if you know your business, and at the same time how loans work. But if you know your business, that's the only reason or way that I think someone should that someone should get a loan. Yeah. Sometimes the accent comes out, but if you know your business, like now, like in our current business, like I think if we were to get a loan, we would know what to do.
100%.
But granted, like right now, we get a lot of like I get like every day, like 3-4 messages, a text, like we have like $67,000 in funding for your business, like reach out to us. I get phone calls, and that's because our business is in good standing. And the thing is that we don't need loans.
Nope.
We don't need loans at all.
Nope.
And so, but at this point, like if we wanted to do something like, let's say, which I don't know why we would, but like if we wanted to we were to get that, we will know exactly what to do with it. The funding.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. So.
At least physical cash, because I know eventually we will get other type of loans. And I guess people, like, you hear loans and then you hear certain words associated to loans, because a lot of people, like gurus, especially like online social media business gurus, they said, oh, you need to use leverage. The way to use leverage is to use other people's money, loans, get a loan, this and that. But they don't teach you the other stuff, like the consequences, because I agree, there's benefits to you getting loans and leveraging, what they call leveraging. I agree. There's
our mortgage, like our mortgage.
Oh,
like, we have one now, $250,000 in equity, almost $300,000 in positive equity. Yep.
So that's one way to leverage a loan, other people's money, to eventually have assets, because that's an asset with equity. So if we want to take out the equity to buy something else, then we have that opportunity too. So again, it's very good, like if you know what you're doing, to leverage, use loans, other people's money to start a business, to grow your business, to grow assets and whatnot. But then again, it's also like what happened to us. It grew our business, but then because we didn't know exactly like the next steps to grow our business, it worked against us. Yeah. So you have to be very careful on both sides of. It's not just the one-time thing where you're going to be able to just forget about the loan, because it's going to mess up your credit if you get too many loans, which could have happened to us where we filed bankruptcy. Yeah. So that could also happen. So there's pros and cons to everything. It's just it's not that a loan is good or bad. It's how you use it. It's kind of like, I know you mentioned the knife, or with a knife, you could, doctors use a knife to save people's life, but then other people use a knife to just,
take a life.
Take a life. Yeah. So a loan is just the tool. It's just I guess so too.
Yeah, and I would add that the only reasons why I think we have that mentality was because of our experiences.
Yeah.
Because I know that there's some people online that, like they're let's say big, or they're getting big, that they use, in life, sometimes you have to take risks, and like you have to just go for it. Like you don't know what will happen, which I understand and I agree with that. And I think it also depends on your risk tolerance
100%.
and your experience.
Yep.
For us, we didn't have that much good positive experience at the beginning with loans, and so we kind of maybe like veered a little bit away from it. Our risk tolerance, I would say it's moderate to high.
Yeah.
It's not super conservative, but at the same time, it's not like let's risk everything.
Yeah.
But we've gotten loans, we've gotten a warehouse, we have a lot of commitments. We have a 3-year commitments. We have 13 employees. With two of us, it's 15, and so we have like it's something bad happens, the economy goes down, something happens to our website,
Yep.
a lot of bad things can happen.
Yep.
And so it really is dependent on your risk tolerance, and also, I'm not gonna say it as a fact, but your risk tolerance is a big one. But then also like how comfortable you are with the idea of a loan, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's just a personal point of view. Like, I understand there's some people that are gonna say, just go for it. You don't know what's gonna happen. Like
yeah, which it could have been working for them up until now. It doesn't mean it's gonna continue working for them in the future. Because again, it was working for us in the beginning. We overstretched, we over leveraged.
Yeah, it was working until it didn't.
Yeah.
And I could give a very good example of like that type of mindset and mentality, and how it started working and it didn't. And I know like that's the company, in COVID, during COVID times, a lot of people got a lot of loans.
Yeah.
And so they over leveraged themselves.
Big companies.
They got so much money, so much free money. And when I say free, and I mean like either no to low interest.
Yep.
And they used it to buy a bunch of inventory. They used it to expand. And so now that, they let's say blew up. But, as the economy and the environment changed, it's just, they're so over leveraged that when they see like a little bit of a downhill, like that's when it's starting to get harder for them.
Yep.
And so they over leverage themselves. And I know like when you grow that fast, it's kind of like it's good to learn, because then maybe you don't fully understand or know why your business grew.
Yeah.
But I digress. And so like in those examples, loans were helpful at the beginning, but then now they're coming back to
and it's kind of good it happened to us at a smaller scale, because again, if it would have happened to us right now, we would have been in the same position as those companies that are going through that right now.
Yeah. And so I think everything has happened. No, I'm gonna say, it's for a reason. But so I think I think for loans, at least in my opinion, I think it's only recommended if you know what you're doing.
Yep.
I think that's the only only reason why it would make sense.
Yep.
And you have a game plan as to how you're going to use those funds. I think, because other than that, it doesn't make sense. Because I've also seen on TikTok where like this one individual, I think he bought like a trash bin or whatever it is, and they also bought like an excavator or something like that to rent out, both of them to rent out, and it's more just than they're gonna try it out, but now they have that commitment.
Yeah.
And so it's like that. I think a person that has knowledge in that industry, I think that loan would have done so much more for them than for someone that doesn't have knowledge. But I digress. I think, at least for me, that's the only reason why it's a good idea to get a loan, is that you have knowledge and experience in your industry, and and you have a game plan as to what you're going to do with that money.
Yep.
Because aside from that, I don't know.
Because I think our next loan, you could argue if you see otherwise, but I think our next loan in this business is commercial business loan, like for
pretty much
property.
Yeah.
Property.
Yeah.
Building.
Because I know, since we started, let's just say, since 2020, since we moved to that big warehouse. Mm-hmm. Well, let's just assume, or let's just say it's been $10,000 a month. We did that for 3 years. So that's $360,000 in rent that we had to pay for the warehouse.
Yep.
This is another 3. This warehouse is another 3 years. So that's another 36 months at $10,000 a month. So for the last warehouse, it's $360,000. This warehouse is $360,000. So in those 6 years, we would have paid out, or we will pay out $720,000 in rent.
Yep, just rent.
That's crazy. The $720,000
Yep.
in rent. And so I know maybe as time passes, it might change. Because I know there's a lot of big businesses that don't buy their building.
That is true.
And so but at least in the now, I think we're at a point where we're doing roughly a little bit over $3 million a year. So our experience is up to that point. Because maybe later on it might change. But I mean, it makes sense at least right now. I mean, we're not gonna do it right now, but as time passes, we'll look into it.
Yep.
But yeah. Do you have anything else to add? No? But other than that, this has been another episode of Driven. My name is Juan.
My name is Alexis.
And we'll see you on the next one.